Buenos dias, everyone. My name is Dayna, pronouns she, they, and today we will be talking about imposter syndrome in the sciences, the intersection between ecological research and the outdoors. I am a recent graduate from Wellesley College where I earned my bachelor's degree in biological sciences. I would currently call myself an ecologist mainly because most of my previous research has revolved around ecology, and I wanted to share a bit of my journey and what I have learned and am still learning about imposter syndrome. An ecologist is simply someone who studies the connections between plants, animals, and the environment. My experience as an ecologist is that most of my work time has been spent outdoors conducting research, usually referred to as a field season, field work, or field days. However, if you do not consider yourself an ecologist, a researcher, or a scientist, this is still a great topic to learn about, even if you have the smallest interest in the outdoors. So let's get started. Let's begin with defining imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome comes in many different forms, but it can include the doubting of your own abilities and accomplishments, a feeling that you do not belong or that you are not capable, not believing you are deserving of where you currently stand, or that you received everything due to luck and not your own efforts. You may feel as if you have been putting up an act and failing those around you, or that you have been faking it all along. The reality is that you are certainly not the only person going through this. According to a systemic review on imposter syndrome, which included a total of 62 studies of 14,161 participants, rates of imposter syndrome varied widely from 9 to 82%. However, results were higher for ethnic minorities. Although this happens to many, being surrounded by people that do not resemble you can amplify this cycle, which is what many individuals from underrepresented communities experience. Through my college career, I noticed that it took me longer to understand many scientific concepts. I learned that I am a visual learner and need to draw a lot of diagrams, sometimes in different ways, to truly comprehend something. Back then, I viewed this as a weakness, as it felt like I had to spend a lot more time on certain topics. However, I can confidently acknowledge now that this, along with my desire to share my work with my family, were the strengths that pushed me towards an emphasis on science inclusivity. With lack of diversity and representation within higher academia, the sciences, and within outdoors recreation, ecologists obtain a very influential position, especially BIPOC ecologists. BIPOC is an acronym that stands for Black, Indigenous, and Other People of Color. In 2016, a total of 56% of all graduate students were white. From 1995-96 to 2015-16, the graduate enrollment of students of color increased from 20.8 to 32.0%. However, students of color are still underrepresented when compared to the representation in both society and undergraduate education. In academia, we talk a lot about knowledge gaps and what we still need to further study. In science and ecology, we talk about how different environments have different animal and plant diversities. However, these ecologists from minority groups are standing in an intersection of multiple inclusivity gaps, where the diversity is very low, yet not always addressed. This can make people who are not represented feel like an imposter, as it's harder for them to see themselves in the senior scientists or role models. There has been improvements in efforts towards creating a more inclusive environment, such as placing a statement of inclusivity within lab websites or job descriptions, but much more work is needed, such as the actual hiring of BIPOC staff and the teaching of work from BIPOC scientists.